Peter, are you able to hear us? If you can hear us, you can put up your right hand.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, Randy, would you like to do a mic test, please?
Hello, mic test, 1, 2, 3. Good morning to everyone. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can.
Adi?
Hello, everyone.
Okay.
Good morning. Mic test. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Good, very good. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so everything is ready. So shall we start? Good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming to this forum. And our first session will be Asian flag, and it's my pleasure to introduce our coordinator for this session, Mr. Toby. Let's welcome Mr. Toby.
Considering the impact of COVID-19, today's meeting conducted on-site and online. Having attracted near 50 professionals from Singapore, Indonesia, Philippines, Brunei, Thailand, and Malaysia, and many Taiwan participants. I would like to welcome you all to the meeting today. My name is Toby, and I am Vice President of Chinese Federation of Surveying and Mapping. Today there are 3 speakers at the meeting. First speaker is Ms. Gary. She is the president of ASEAN Federation of Land Surveying and Geomatics. Second speaker is Senior Vice President Mr. Adi. And the final speaker is Honorary President Randy of ASEAN Flag. Today's meeting is about introduce ASEAN Flag, the urgent activities, and how to organize and establish a dynamic and productive young surveyor in ASEAN network, and the rules of international surveying organization in DRRM. Now let's get down to business. So let's start with introducing ASEAN Flag vision and activity. Welcome, Mr. Gary. Okay.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction, Toby. Allow me to share my screen now. My presentation will take 20 minutes. And after my presentation, I'll be introducing the ASEAN Federation of Land Surveying and Geomatics, and then I will hand over my time to my Senior Vice President, Mr. Adi Ruchiatan. So thank you once again, CFSM, for inviting ASEAN Flag to be involved in your forum on international surveying organization and participation. I think the very fact that we can all be seated around the region, around Asia, and Professor Dr. Shi and also Toby, you're all in one room gathered together, is testament of our willingness to collaborate. And we have people dialing in from all the way from Thailand, Dr. Wicha, and we have our council members from Singapore and Philippines and even Indonesia, right? So allow me to share. So these are the few topics that I'll be covering. I'll be talking about, first of all, ASEAN Flag, what do we do during council meetings, biannual congresses, and I will touch on mutual recognition arrangement, and of course, our important upcoming event being the ASEAN Registered Surveyor. Now, what is ASEAN? ASEAN, as we all know, stands for the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. It was established in 8th August 1967 in Bangkok, Thailand. Initially, ASEAN Declaration was founded by the so-called founding fathers of ASEAN, being Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand. And we are most glad that over time, over the coming years, we have Brunei that join us, Vietnam, Laos, PDR, Myanmar, and Cambodia. Today, ASEAN consists of 10 member states. Now, what is the motivation of ASEAN? The motivation of ASEAN basically is one vision, one identity, and one community. And how do we foster that? ASEAN consists of 650 million population. It is a very diverse region. We have many religious beliefs. We have different cultures. And with 650 million, we are close to 10% of the world's population. The aims and purposes of ASEAN was to accelerate economic growth, social progress, cultural development in the region through joint endeavors in the spirit of equality and partnership in order to strengthen the foundation for a prosperous and peaceful community of Southeast Asian nations. I would like to emphasize again, accelerate growth, progress, development, joint endeavors, equality and partnership. We recognize every nation within Southeast Asian nation ASEAN to be equal stakeholders, and also to strengthen the foundation as we work and foster towards a prosperous and peaceful community. Now, ASEAN flag. What is ASEAN flag? Some significant date of our inception. ASEAN flag was founded in 15 March 1995. The objective of ASEAN flag, amongst others, there are a few, but I would like to highlight the focus, is to serve as a focal point for exchange of ideas related to land surveying and geomatics in the ASEAN region. When we mentioned that we wanted to be the focal point, land surveying and geomatics, now today, the technology arena has actually evolved tremendously through LiDAR, through digital photogrammetry, through geospatial, GIS, right? That is the main focus, to bring everything together and to be the focal point where we exchange ideas. And also critically important, to cooperate with national and international organizations to support and supplement their work. The very fact that we are all seated here, different parts of Asia, logging in through the WebEx at the same timing is testament to our efforts for national and international organizations. We will support each other. Now, what is the role of ASEAN flag? We assist in the competent authorities. The competent authorities would mean the local land agencies, the local land authorities, the agencies that actually takes care and legislates. They are the regulators, right? To assist these competent authorities in ASEAN member states in capacity building and institutional strengthening. It's also to assist to establish professional institutions. And when ASEAN flag gets involved in establishing these professional institutions, you have 10 member nations within ASEAN that is supporting each other. And also we have dialogue partners like Taiwan, like Hong Kong, and people within the Asia region. And also to assist set up the regulatory and licensing registration systems. This is where you have your professional registered surveyors and your geodetic engineers and your competent professional practitioner within the respective industry. And of course, training for technical competency. Everything is about competency, right? And technical competency is a thing that commands respect from the other professions as they look at our profession within the ASEAN and the Asia region. Now, what are the activities that we get involved? We have regular council meetings. We have CPD programs, continuous professional development programs. We have technical visits as well. And of course, every 2 years, biannual, we have the Southeast Asia Survey Congress. So our regular council meetings, we meet 3 times a year in different capitals or major cities. And we take turns within our ASEAN nation to meet. And each time when we meet, we will have a technical seminar. The last time we met face-to-face was on 30th November in Jakarta. And since then, we had one meeting that we had our first e-meeting through the web, through Zoom app. We met on the 7th of July 2020, right? So there's no stopping us to meet, even if we are unable to meet face-to-face. And every council meeting, a technical seminar was organized. Now, this technical seminar is very important and very strategic, because when we have a council meeting, we have a technical seminar, it allows the host country to invite key personnel and stakeholders in the country. For example, in Brunei, we had the Minister for National Development, right? And in Sabah, we had the Chief Minister, we have political office holders that actually attends and supports the industry, and that's the intent of holding a technical seminar, right? And as I mentioned, the last meeting was held virtually on 7 July. So our first Southeast Asia Survey Congress, the big event, right, was held in 1979. And up to 2003, the Southeast Asia Survey Congress was held every 4 years. Since 2005, we hold it every 2 years, right, annually, because we wanted to have more regular meeting and to create a platform that to have a bigger event and to have regional participation. The last Southeast Asia Survey Congress was held in Darwin, Northern Territory in 2019, August. The next one will be scheduled in Bandung, where our Senior Vice President Adi Ruchiatan and his team will ensure that it will be a good one. Now, I just wanted to highlight in the spirit of international organization participation, we want to thank the people of our fellow colleagues, professionals, and friends from Taiwan, especially Toby, for organizing and making the 59th Council meeting, which was held on 20th March 2016 in Taichung, and the 66th Council meeting held again also on 20th March 2018 in Taichung, right? So as you can see, we have very regular touch points and dialogues, and also active participation with Taiwan. Now, allow me to share this important point about mutual recognition arrangement. One of the mandates of ASEAN flag was to actually facilitate the regulators in coming up with licensing and guidelines. Now, what is MRA, mutual recognition? It's a process that allows qualifications gained in each country, the home country, to be recognized in another country, right? Now, in different organizations, MRA is used as a device. In Europe, in the EU, it is used to secure free movements of professionals within the Eurozone. In the World Trade Organization, it is used to create a marketplace for services across the world. And in FIG, is to ensure global exchange of professional qualifications within the context of surveying and mapping through a concept that meets and serves the nature of our profession. So what is the goal of MRA? Now, is to facilitate flow of foreign professionals, taking into account the domestic regulations and market demand conditions. MRA enables professional services to be certified by the relevant authorities in the home country, to be mutually recognized by other signatory members. May I have a request that those who are not speaking, you can mute your microphone so that all of us will not be distracted by the background noise. Just mute your microphone if you are not speaking. Thank you very much. Dr. Wicha, we will need you to mute your microphone. Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right, no problem. We love you. Now, MRA, I think there are some critical dates for us to take care. The 7th summit in Bandar Sri Begawan, Brunei, 5th November, the ASEAN leaders came together and they mandated the start of negotiations for the MRA to facilitate the flow of professional service within the ASEAN, right? Now, the current MRAs in place, the mutual recognition in place within ASEAN. Now, I would like to highlight we have 10 countries, 650 million population within the 10 nations. And to be able to bang out all these various services in place across ASEAN, I think is testament, right? Is evidence that if there's a will, there's a way. All of us need to sit down and talk, right? Now, MRA for engineering services, we have it on O5, nursing services, architectural services, and highlighted in blue, the MRA for surveying qualifications, right? We also have the doctors who had one in 2009, accountants 2014, and even tourism professionals 2012, right? So there are mutual recognition arrangements that allows cross-border trade to take place within the ASEAN nations. Now, the important point about ASEAN flag basically is to craft out together with the stakeholders within the nation of ASEAN, this ASEAN surveyor, right? So what is the motivation? The motivation basically is to have surveyors within the ASEAN nations to be able to cross each other's border and practice surveying and mapping. But we will always require a local host surveyor, you will call the ASEAN surveyor, to host the entire process, right? Whenever we step into another jurisdiction, right, the host country should be the one that is orchestrating and leading everything. And I think that it is not only in the spirit of equality and equal partners, but also in the spirit of sharing and co-building. Now, the framework arrangement was to identify and establish basis along with competent authorities what are the mutual recognition and the mobility of surveying professionals, right? And also the important point, number 2, is to exchange the information in order to promote trust and adoption of best practices in surveying standards and qualifications. ASEAN has 10 nations. The different nations are in different stage in their development. Some are in the stage of rebuilding. Some are in the stage of consolidation. So that is why point number 2 is a critical component where we level up and we close up the gaps between each other so that with the main aim moving forward, that we are able to move together as ASEAN, right? So very, very quickly in just a picture, I just want to show that you have the country of origin, you have the ASEAN, and this is where ASEAN flag sits in the middle. The ASEAN, we come out with the framework and we take care of the MRA and we work together with the host country and we dialogue with the competent authority and the local laws. Now, I would like to highlight that ASEAN flag has been mandated by the ASEAN, right? Our Association of Southeast Asian Nations, right? ASEAN, to actually facilitate this entire process. So the role of ASEAN flag is not just a federation taking care of the profession, but ASEAN themselves, our political masters, have recognized the importance of our federation and have entrusted this responsibility of facilitating this MRA. And it has been our big honor, and we are very, very thankful and appreciative for our very senior persons like Dr. Wicha Jiwalai, Pengiran Matusin, and also from Malaysia, our dear Haji Ismail, who have led and played a very, very critical role in facilitating this to happen. The ASEAN surveyor will not happen without their immense contribution, and I think I would like to acknowledge their big contribution. Now, for every new initiative, there are challenges, right? And as surveyors, as geodetic engineers, we face challenges anytime, every time, anywhere, everywhere. Now, what are the challenges? For MRA challenges, you would have different levels of development between member states, accessibility to quality education systems, and also different regulatory and licensing registration systems in place, right? So these are the challenges. But we should mind the gap, right? This is ASEAN and all equal stakeholders in. We recognize there's a gap, but we have a will, and we will sit together and we will work out something that makes sense. So the initial stage, we have actually set a few things in place. I'd like to share some of the success stories. So Brunei and Singapore, we signed a bilateral MRA on surveying education qualification in November 2016. And also a bilateral MRA on surveying education was carried out between the Land Surveyors Board of Peninsular Malaysia and the Land Surveyors Board of Singapore, and it has concluded, right? So working towards the ASEAN Registered Surveyor is a reality, and we are moving towards that good trajectory. Now, conclusion. So the thinking basically is to have a framework and to establish a mutual recognition arrangement within individual nations for the purpose of the mobility of surveying professionals crossing border, engaging in consulting or engaging in works, so that we are able to realize the free flow of professional services within the ASEAN economic community. It's a borderless world, right? So this is my last slide. And like what I mentioned, there are challenges, there are differences. But this quote is given by Pengiran Matusim. It's shared. No matter how many times the teeth bite the tongue, they are still in the same mouth, right? So we are in a single region, and there will be differences, right? But there's a will, there's a way, and we acknowledge the challenges because our very profession is based on challenges. We solve problems, right? So this is the spirit of ASEAN flag. Thank you. Thank you. So I would like to hand over this time now to my esteemed Senior Vice President, Mr. Adi Ruchiatan, who will lead us in the topic on young surveyors.
Okay.
Thank you, Jerry. So I will just begin my slides to be shared.
Adi,
Yes.
it's your turn.
Okay, can you see the slides? Yes. Okay. So thanks so much, Jerry. Thanks, Toby and Peter. So, sorry, I will just go very fast on my presentations because I will have another commitment with the ASEAN Secretariat in Jakarta to attend the forum at about 9 o'clock. So not to waste any more time, I will begin my presentation concerning why young surveyor is crucial in Indonesia. Then there's a relation also between the MRA that Jerry has already also mentioned previously. So I'll begin my presentations. So the Indonesian Young Surveyors was actually established in 2016. It is actually formed by the Ikatan Surveyor Indonesia or Indonesian Surveyor Associations, which was actually established in 1972. So it is actually a little bit late for regenerations, but it is better late than never, yeah. So 2016, the Indonesian Young Surveyor was formed. There are two kind of membership over there. The young member that has graduated from different background, from geodetic engineers, and then the ordinary member. But both must be under 35 years old. The ordinary member must be coming from the geodetic engineers for this. So the Indonesian Young Surveyors are also affiliated with the IG Young Surveyor Network community. So as the supporting system of Ikatan Surveyor Indonesia, like I said previously, the Young Surveyor also supported the Indonesian Surveyor Associations to pursue every CPD event that they are hosting. So the publications that they are actually resulting was in the surveyor inside magazines. It is semester's magazine, so every 6 months they are actually releasing this one. The young surveyor gathering, of course, they are doing this one in order to make all of the program running from these young surveyors. Includes the last time at the CEAS Darwin in 2019, we had the very intimate relationship with the Philippine young surveyors at the time. Yeah, so that's the last achievement after the FIG Congress in Istanbul in 2018. So, why the young surveyors are very important for the, especially in Indonesia, yeah? Because there are a lot of mapping projects that has to be done, and then that has to be conducted, and then there are needed our helps to execute the project, especially for the surveyors. Then you can see, the government mapping project coming. This is just only the few of the kementerian. It's called the ministry, right? So the Ministry of National Land Agency, the Geospatial Information Agency, the Ministry of Public Works, Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry also, and then the Indonesian National Board for Disaster Management, the Ministry of Villages, Development of Disadvantaged Regions and Transmigrations, Peatland Restoration Agency, and many more. So they have projects related to the mapping, and then they need also the surveillance in order to execute the project. So I will just give you the two examples of the biggest project that are happening now in Indonesia. The first one is the BPN project, of course. There are several projects, sections, and then the most, you can say, the biggest one, yeah, it's called Pendaftaran Tanah Sistematis Lengkap, or PTSL. It is systematic and complete land registration for this one. So why PTSL is very important? Because our president has a mandate, and then it becomes the priority project for Indonesian government. That is why the priority project for mapping during our COVID terms is still executed. So since February up until now, we are not stopping our activities in pursuing to finish the project from the government, especially from the BPN and then also from BIG. So it is a good sign also for us that the government actually would like us to finish all of the projects, especially the priority projects, because it will be used later on to boost our economy. Of course, we are doing this one with the very tight health protocol. Yeah, we are doing the survey with the very tight health protocol. And then, for example, if we could not get to another island by plane, we are using the sometimes the car and the ferry, yeah, to cross the islands to actually finish the project. So, as you can see, at the time the PTSL projects, it is the very optimistic project that has to be finished in 2025, and then the 125 million of parcels must be done for this one. But at first, yeah, we thought that the target was unreasonable, yeah, at first, because usually we had about 1 million certificates per year to be finished. But now, if you could see, in 2017, we had millions of parcel that has to be finished, starting from 5 million, 7.5 million, up to 9 and 10 and 11 millions per year that has to be finished. But yeah, through the Indonesian Surveyor Associations and then also other universities that are actually supporting this one. So we are managed every year from BPN to finish 100% of the target. So in 2019 itself, which is the third year of PTSL project, yeah, the land registration that has already been registered reached 62.4 million land parcels. So now the 2020, which has about 10 or 11 billion land parcel target, we have already finished 90% of this one, and then we still have 2 months for this, and then hope we could finish also in 100%. So you could see this acceleration begins in 2017, and then it shows that 5 million parcel has already been finished up until 2019. So materials, method, and man, also the funding will become the 4 accelerated components that our government is very keen to see that this one has to be used in order to finish all of the target that they are setting up. So why the licensed cadastral surveyor is also needed for this? Because they are responsible for everything. Even they are responsible for the rest of their life, yeah, because since this is the law product, I mean the product that has to be connected with the law, then the responsibility of the land cadastral surveyors is very high. That's why you can see starting from 2017, 5 million parcels, it's about 5,000 cadastral surveyor needed. In 2018, 7 million parcels, it's about 7,000 cadastral surveyor needed, license, yeah. And then BPN has been working very hard in order to produce these licensed cadastral surveyors twice every year. So they have what is called the training centers, and then they have the tests in order to produce these licensed cadastral surveyors. And of course, the licensed cadastral surveyors has to become from the geospatial industry or education background, and then it is the geodetic engineers that will be actually be able to become the licensed cadastral surveyors. So another project coming from the Badan Informasi Geospatial. So it is actually mapping for 1 to 5,000 scales of Peta Rupa Bumi Indonesia, and then they also have the acquisition of LiDAR and aerial photo, and then mapping of shorelines, and there's also the boundary mapping. The differences between the qualifications for these projects compared with BPN, the young surveyors coming from the education background of geodetic engineers must be at least having the 2 years experience before they are applying for the certifications. These certifications, it's a must for all of the young surveyor that would like to involve at the Badan Informasi Geospatial projects. At least they have to have 2 years experience before they are actually be able to apply for the certifications. So if you can see the distribution list of resources in geospatial information field, mostly in Java. 82% they reside in Java, and then the rest, 4% in Kalimantan, even only 1% in Maluku, 6% in Sumatra, and only 3% in Sulawesi. So we are still concentrating in Java, yeah, but you can imagine that our project was actually started from Sumatra up until Papua, yeah, so all over Indonesia for this. So the distribution is not yet very even, yeah, for all of the islands all over the Indonesia. So geographic information resources, if you could see the availability and the fulfillment, BIG had the what do you call this one? Had the research of this. The projections, for example, in 2015 is about 31,500 of geographic information resources. Yeah, I mean it is a lot of manpower that we need in order to make all of the mapping projects from all over Indonesia being executed very well. So up until 2024, The projection is consists of 40,743, which is the fulfillment plan, or yeah, it's only 9,659. But the gap is getting close and getting closer again, because we are actually working very hard with the education systems. So we hope that the gap is not so big again for the next several years. So just to be able to keep in mind also for you guys that probably next year's BPN and also BIG will have the biggest project again. For example, BIG will have the rapid mapping project that probably PAD will have a presentation concerning this one later on the next sessions. And then same as BPN also, Pak Virgo could actually could actually answer your questions concerning the projects of the BPN for the next session of presentations. So BIG survey in 2015, you can see the terrestrial surveys, the hydrography, photogrammetry, remote sensing, and GIS, also cartographic qualifications needed. Yeah, so a little bit difference. BIG also have several of the requirements from the high school specialized in mapping. So that's why not only undergraduate freshmen that they are looking, but they are looking from the high school specialized in mapping. So this is the figure of this manpower that BIG needs in order to finish their project. So the summary: the young surveyors play the important roles for the fulfillment of the needs from the geospatial industries. The young surveyor's quality could be achieved by taking the certification and qualifications that are issued by the National Certification Board. Qualified young surveyor could eliminate the gap between the unproductive senior and inexperienced operator or surveyors. The target for the fulfillment of the young surveyors might be in line with the education curriculum. In this case, geospatial information field in every universities must be able to provide this. So this is my references from the Ikatan Surveyor Indonesia, Pak Virgo, Pak Sumaryono, and then also Andri Putra Parlindungan as the young surveyors of Indonesia. And then thank you so much for all of your attentions. And then questions could be addressed to me. This is the email. So thanks a lot.
Vice President Adi. And next is sorry, sir. Next, we welcome Honorary President Randy of Africa. We welcome you introduce the roles of International Surveying Organization in disaster risk reduction and management. Okay, welcome.
Hello. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, can you hear me? All right. Okay, thank you, and a pleasant morning to everyone, especially the organizers, the CFSM, our co-presenters also from Indonesia, and our counterparts from the International Federation of Surveyors. I think that they're also in the room. Our understanding yesterday was for the host to do the honor of showing the PowerPoint. Because of technical issue on the graphics yesterday that we encountered during while they're preparing, I'd like also to make mention or greet our colleagues from the ASEAN flag, our members from the different countries of ASEAN and partners from other countries nearby the Asian countries. So the title of my presentation is about disaster risk reduction and management. And we will have to take this up with the focus on the major role of professional organizations. And the topic actually is so broad, and we modified it in such a way that it will just cater on today's theme, which is the role of professional organizations. And I'd like to mention also that my place here where I am sitting is not soundproof, so you might be hearing some noises. I'm sorry about that. And right, so without further ado, I'd like to start with my presentation. So next slide, please. Next slide, please. All right, so this is the outline of presentation. And as I've said, this topic is so broad, and we just focus on these items here. I'll just give a short background about DRRM, a few definitions, and I will walk you through the natural hazards in Southeast Asia, and see we have a place in disaster risk reduction in terms of surveying and geomatics. And what exactly are our major roles as members of the professional organization or as leaders of this professional organization? And a short summary. Next, please. Next, please. So we go to the background. I'd like to start with the definition of disaster. I took this definition from the United Nations International Strategy on Disaster Reduction. So it says here that disaster is a serious disruption of the functioning of a community or a society involving widespread human, material, economic, or environmental losses and impacts. And this basically exceeds the ability of that affected community or society to cope using its own resources. Next, please. Now, when we say disaster risk, we pertain to the potential disaster losses in lives, health status, livelihoods, assets, and services, which could occur to a particular community or a society over some period of time. So these were all called out from that UNISDR definition. Next, please. We have disaster risk reduction. What do we mean by reducing disaster risk? So DRR aims to reduce the damage caused by natural hazards or the damage that will be caused by these natural hazards like earthquakes, floods, droughts, and cyclones through an ethic of prevention or reduction. So take note that a disaster's severity actually depends on how much impact a hazard has on society or on the environment. So next, please. So with this, I'd like to emphasize that DRR is everyone's business. And this involves disciplines like disaster management, disaster mitigation, disaster preparedness, but it is also part of what we call a broader theme, which is sustainable development. And here we can actually connect so many themes of development or development processes like poverty alleviation, environmental management, land use planning, infrastructure development, and so on and so forth. And it says here that in order for development activities to be sustainable, they must also reduce disaster risk. And on the other hand, and sound development policies, programs included or projects included will increase disaster risk and so with disaster losses. So here, DRR involves every part of the society or community, every part of the government, and I'd like to stress the point, every part of the professional and private sector. So it was the UN ISDR Secretariat who prepared all these documents, and we can see where we are standing as far as these documents is concerned. So that's the background, and I'd like, as I've said, walk you through the natural hazards in Southeast Asia, and this includes the common hazards. Next, please. In Southeast Asia, we have the following. We have the common natural hazards. Mind you that we are using here natural hazards and not natural disasters. It was indicated already in the document pertaining to the report of the United Nations in charge of disaster risk reduction and management that they are happier in using natural hazards rather than natural disasters. So those are some of the developments. And in Southeast Asia, we have flash floods or flood, storm surge, tsunami, ground rupture, landslides, and volcanic eruptions, and many more, droughts, you name it, we have it here. Next, please. And here in Southeast Asia, just for the information of everyone, these are old slides, and I'm just showing this again as a reminder that we really have to take this seriously because of the following events. We have 10 events worldwide, but we have 7 very disturbing disasters that happened here in Southeast Asia. And these are arranged according to the date of occurrence. Next, please. First, we have in Indonesia, 1586, Mount Kelut. We have a volcanic eruption. This was ranked number 8. And the estimated death toll is 10,000. Right? Next, please. In the Philippines, 1814, Mount Mayon volcano. This is located about 600 or 700 kilometers south of Metro Manila. And it was a volcanic eruption, and it was ranked 7. Estimated death toll is 12,000. Next, please. We have in Vietnam, 1881, Typhoon Haipong. This was ranked number 6, and the death toll is 150,000. Next, please. Again, back in Indonesia, we have 1883, the eruption of the volcano Krakatoa. Oh, sorry, it was a tsunami, but generated out of this volcanic eruption. And the death toll is very, very wide variance, 36,000 to 120,000 casualties. In Vietnam, we have it in 1971, Hanoi and the Red River Delta flood, and the death toll is 100,000. Next, please. Again, Indonesia, 1997, Sumatra and Kalimantan fires. Death toll is 240. That's rank number 9. And next, please. This is the, sorry, let's go back to that, because I'd like to highlight here that this one is ranked number 3. And this is the Indian Ocean earthquake in 2004. And we have a death toll of 280,000. Sorry, but these are accounted deaths, but those that were not accounted or the missing persons not included in the statistics. But normally, we have more missing than the death toll statistics or figures. So here, next, please. All right. So regardless of the type, severity or nature of hazards, we have the following impacts. We have deaths, missing persons may be included, displaced population. We have food scarcity, health risks, emotional aftershocks, environmental destructions, including structural failures and other ill effects like the economic losses, the disruption of the basic services. So these are the impacts or ill effects of natural hazards. And we experience this in the different examples that I have presented earlier. Next, please. Now, this part will show us, is there a place for surveyors in disaster risk reduction and management? So here, we have, I think this is already my 4th or 5th time discussing this with the ASEAN flag, but these are all slides that I'd like to, again, show and emphasize that there's really a place for surveyors or geomatics practitioners in DRRM. Disaster risk reduction policies and programs are enforced and implemented respectively through the analysis of spatial and non-spatial information. Highlighting on the spatial information or data sets, many of these are being supplied by surveyors regardless of sector that they belong, private sector, government, or the academy. About 80%, this is the reality, and this is a result of an academic research. 80% of daily decisions on national and local levels are spatially oriented or georeferenced. The majority of this information is spatial and can be surveyed and mapped. And this can be layered or analyzed in order to understand the potential risks and vulnerability of a particular community or region. And so, surveying and geomatics therefore can address the different stages of DRRM, including, among others, planning, mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery. Next, please. This next slide will show us, this came from a publication of the FIG, and we can see here the relationship between technology and the different areas of specialization or field of practice. We have technologies like those satellite-based positioning, the surveying, and the GIS. And with this, we can actually come up with some models or sort of outputs that we can use in order to have a more sensible way of doing disaster risk management or disaster risk reduction. Next, please. So here, I'm sorry, but I don't have a material from the ASEAN community, but this work is a work of Edeleke et al. 2013. They are utopian academicians or from the academe. The university is called Ilorin University, and this came from Journal of Environmental Studies and Management. They look into the role of geomatics in DRR and some infrastructural failures. And I'd like to focus now on the conclusion and recommendation of this study. They said that geomatics is fully involved in disaster management as accurate spatial data is inevitable in all stages of disaster management. And they come up with recommendations like, they said that there has got to be a nationwide identification and mapping of hazard-prone zones. Rescue maps are very important, and this basically will give them an idea on the routes, or related to number 3 are the route or network analysis, especially when dealing with some emergency situation, urban or non-urban. Next, please. Now, whether the The application is for rescue or non-rescue operations. Early warning systems are very important. And there's got to be periodic deformation monitoring or measurements of massive engineering structures. And this may include dams, medium to high-rise buildings, freeways, large bridges, among others. And they said that the use of GIS, GPS, LiDAR, and recent survey technologies should be promoted for utmost benefit of their capabilities. And on the water survey, they said that there's got to be also a periodic hydrographic survey of river channels, especially where they flow through, to identify possible silting and blockages to free river flow, especially in built-up areas. And lastly, they said that human capacity development is necessary and important to meet the above or the items that I've mentioned earlier. So this has got to be pursued. So again, this is an old quote, which I think included this in our AFLAG's website, that it will be very complex undertaking, if not impossible, to attempt to reduce disaster risks of whatever type, nature, frequency, severity, in an environment that one does not understand well. So it's important and it's crucial to any disaster risk reduction and management undertaking, the use of technologies, right people, and of course the outputs of this in terms of coming up with sound decision, sound plans, and sound programs. So next slide would give us an idea where we are standing in terms of a national initiative of coming up with spatial data infrastructure. So this came from FGDC US, and it was published 2005, and still many are using this framework. So national spatial data infrastructure components are shown that we have a framework and spatial data right at the middle. And this basically includes the spatial data sets that surveyors must be providing in terms of use for national agenda pertaining to reduction of natural hazards. So the next slide will also show us the specific area, and this is what we call the fundamental spatial data sets, basically serving as the foundation of SDI, to which secondary or tertiary geographic information are referred to or superimposed onto. And we have this basic composition. We have the geodetic reference, the cadastry or administrative units, basic topography, elevation models, ortho images, road networks, river systems, and geographic names. And this basically guarantee and benchmark spatial consistency, accuracy, and reliability of geographic data sets. I'd like to stress the point reliability. It means that it was generated from right data sets or data sources, and the required precision in terms of location are being adhered to. These are updated and they are interoperable with the common system that the national agency or the users are utilizing. The next slide now will give us a picture. Okay, click it, another, please. All right, okay. So this is again another diagram that will show the green ones are pre-disaster and the blue are the post-disaster. So SDI is right at the center. Now, if you're at the center of this paradigm or framework, it means that your services are crucial in terms of achieving the objectives and goals of disaster risk reduction, without which no sound programs on disaster risk reduction and management will be designed and implemented. And so the role of surveyors is very crucial in this particular field. So the next slide will be a related quote, which came from, I would say, the former UN Special Representative of the Secretary General for Disaster Risk Reduction, Margareta Wallström. She said that access to information is critical to successful disaster risk management. And I'd like to stress the point. She said, you cannot manage what you cannot measure. So let's be, very explicit about quantities, statistics, because these basically are the sources of data for higher level planning and decision making. Next, please. This one now is the last part of the presentation. What then now are the major roles of professional organizations? Next, please. Okay. In a development process, whether it's sustainable development, whether it is about anti-poverty, in our case, in the Philippines, DRRM is already mainstream in these development themes. And I'd like to emphasize here that there are key principles in mainstreaming DRM in development. Number one is political commitment, strong institutions, and appropriate governance. I'd like to mention that institution-wise, the private sector, the professional organizations are included here, okay? And the second point is integration of DRR in development is based on sound knowledge of disaster risk and risk reduction. So here again, professionals will come in, and professional organizations will have to play a big role in terms of ensuring that there's really a knowledge management system in specific to these organizations. The third is awareness of risk and risk reduction measures conveys knowledge about DRM solutions. Number four, effectively incorporating risk considerations in development decision-making requires synergies between sustainable development and DRR. So it's not only a unilateral sector, but it is multidisciplinary, multi-sectoral approaches. And decision-making would require all these approaches to be able to have a viable plan. I will not delve on 5 and 6, but let me just mention number 7, that DRR is multi-thematic and multi-sectoral process, and mainstreaming it in development involves integration of development themes and sectors. So what we are doing in other themes like anti-poverty, infrastructure development, environmental management, I think we have to replicate it here as far as disaster risk reduction and management is concerned. So these are mainstreaming principles. Now, next, please. I'd like to show you the specific roles now. The first two are basically, I would say it's internal to the organization, and 3 and 4 are external, meaning to say you need to collaborate with other sectors or societies or associations or entities. So number one, I guess that the organization must exercise the mandate on good governance by enforcing the rule of law, and that is the professional regulatory law, the bylaws, and the corresponding policy manual. I'm using the terms that we use here in the Philippines, the policy manual, because we have an implementing rules on regulations for the bylaws that we have. So this actually serves as a guide for all the genetic engineers. And professional regulatory law, just like in other jurisdiction, we have specific activities of genetic engineers as enshrined or as stipulated in different laws. The Philippines has now 44 professionals or regulatory boards, and so you can just imagine the non-avoidance of overlaps or common overlaps in terms of practice of the profession. The good governance aspect also deals with how we pursue activities in accordance to the regulatory laws in cooperation with the government, which is, I refer to the Professional Regulatory Board, because these two parties are the ones expected to enforce, implement, and also make sure that the interests of the members are being pursued, and that they should be well established in such a way that there will be no blurring of professional boundaries as we pursue our relative or respective activities in line with disaster risk reduction and management. The second is, this is still internal. There's got to be continuing capacity building programs, and going further, a knowledge management initiative. And we also refer to as one of the priorities the young generation or the young surveyors that were mentioned by Senior Vice President Adi a while back, and women surveyors. So capacity building is very important because, it will enhance actually the knowledge and skills of surveyors in terms of what exactly should be provided, should be undertaken, in what standards should we produce such information to be able to have reliable and dependable set of data for the RRM. Number three, I said it's external because you have to collaborate with government agencies, business and financial institutions, other civil society organizations in terms of implementing multi-party initiatives. I don't have other examples, but here in the Philippines, we have a very strong and committed civil society organizations, particularly those professional organizations accredited by the Commission. And they have corporate social responsibilities implemented, especially the challenges that we have in the pandemic, the COVID-19. And so, so many professionals have committed, and different approaches and means of supporting the government and those who are frontliners, and people who are also supporting the frontliners are being served and their needs provided. The last item is about fostering and strengthening close relationships with other professional organizations by jointly designing and implementing collaborative confidence-building projects and similar undertakings for the development of standards of practice in this area, the disaster risk reduction and management. And that basically is one of the items included. If you recall, we have visited the no less than His Excellency Lim Jock Foy, and these are included in the proposal that we have presented to him. So these are just a few, as I've said earlier, there are a lot more, and I believe that these are well within the bounds of the domain of control of professional organizations. So it's important that we have to enforce the rule of law. Why are we here? Why are professional organizations organized? And we have to also prioritize, as President Jerry has mentioned earlier, the series of capacity building programs, capability building that we have been doing with ASEAN Flag in terms of enhancing or upgrading or updating the knowledge and skills of our members. Next, please. All right, so this one is a guide, maybe for all of us, that in terms of selecting partners, meaning surveyors, I'd like to say in particular, this could probably, there are only 3 items. Can you click the first one, please? Educational background. Okay, so I think MRA does also have this. Educational background. The experience will relate actually to the technical competence of the person. And the last one is legal authority. That's the rule of law, meaning to say you have a legal basis in why you are doing this particular service. So that's the essence of this diagram. And so in terms of providing spatial data sets, fundamental spatial data sets in particular, in support of NSDI for DRRM, I guess that these items here should be included as justification in terms of saying that, hey, this is our area of domain of practice, and we have to, put an end to some issues created because of the blurring of professional boundaries. Other professionals are doing this surveying thing, because surveying now is so easy to do. You just press the button, as they said, and that's how other suppliers of equipment market the surveying products. They said it's so easy, you don't have to be a surveyor to do this, to do that. So I guess this framework is so simple, but it's practical, and it's a way that we can probably say that this is our area of domain. Next, please. So the next slide will show us the visit that we have in 2019 with, of course, our very own Pingirian Matusin, Honorary President, ASEAN Flag, and the host, Senior Vice President Adi Ruchatan, partly hidden. And we have this discussion on good land governance. And this is an offshoot of the land governance summit that we have in Manila way back in December 2017. And some efforts related to disaster risk reduction and management. So before I end, I'd like to make mention that really disaster risk reduction management is a development issue. And it is also highly interdisciplinary, meaning to say that a surveyor cannot solve this problem alone. We should be working together. And DRR, in a global scale, is UN administered global issue. And there's got to be a strategy actually that we, maybe ASEAN Flag, the Federation, the Taiwan Federation of Surveying and Mapping, and other organizations, whoever that be, should make a strong representation to the United Nations if only to come up with an advocacy or a program or a project that will benefit not only those that we said would be victim, knock on wood, and the professionals that we represent, the surveyors or the geomatics practitioners. So maybe the rest of the Asia Pacific region, if we can only collaborate together and come up with a position paper, and maybe also Asian flag making a follow-up on the disaster risk reduction proposal, it could be a good start that we will be able to say to the whole world that we have to do this because this one is our area of responsibility. This is a commitment to the people, and this is enshrined in the vision and mission and strategic plan of the Federation. So with that, I'd like to leave this presentation with one slide. Next, please. The last slide is about working together. And I know pretty well that you are very familiar with this person. He is Steve Jobs, and he said once, great things in business are not done by one person. They're done by a team of people. So I'd like to close by thanking you for listening. Stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Randy. We are presenting. So,
You're welcome.
have time to.
Yeah, we have 1 more minute.
Oh, no. Okay. So, Alice, you have any question?
Hi, Gary, Eddie. Thank you very much for your presentation. And due to the time limit, probably we have to close the session now. So we keep in touch. Okay? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Before we close, let me just summarize the main point. To sum up, we discussed Africa Virgin. We also talked about young surveyor goal and the DRM strategy. Finally, we welcome Dr. Wicha from Thailand and Honorary President Mr. Xu and Mr. Liang from Singapore and Mr. Rodi from Malaysia and TM Wang from New Zealand. Thank you. Right, that's all for today's meeting. Is there any other business before we finish? No? Great. I'd like to thank President Gary, Senior Vice President Adi, and Honorary President Randy, all speakers for presenting here all the way from Singapore, Indonesia, and the Philippines. Thank you all for attending. That's all for today. Thank you. Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Virgo 刚不是上来，Virgo 不上来了吗？谢谢各位。我们现在进入休息时间，我们大概11点钟开始是跟 ISI 的讨论，就是我们第2个 session 是 ISI 的印尼的讨论，所以我们11点钟准时开始。刚才已经他们已经上线了。我们11点10分开始。 外面有点心，大家可以享用，谢谢。Good morning, everyone. Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here, and I'm very honored to have the ISI President, Mr. Vogel, to attend our session, and he will present a speech to us. Hi, Mr. Vogel. Well, Mr. Vogel. 那个你要不要 WeChat 他 ？Hi, Mr. Vogel.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Fine, thanks.
Hi.
So.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. So, shall we start? And thank you for coming. Well, thank you for attending. And Mr. Vogel is the president of ISI, and which is the Indonesian Surveying and Mapping Federation. And Mr. Vogel, may I invite you to start your presentation? Thank you. Hi, Eddie. Eddie, how are you?
Yeah, hi. Good morning, good afternoon.
Yeah, good morning. And may I introduce Mr. Chifeng Wang? Mr. Chifeng Wang is the Vice President of CFSM.
Okay, nice meeting you, sir.
It seems that Mr. Vogel has some connection problem. And shall we start with you?
Virgo?
Yeah, may I invite Mr. Vogel? Hi, Mr. Vogel.
I think yeah. I think can you hear my voice?
Yeah, I can hear your voice. Yeah, we can see the slide.
Okay. Can you see my presentation here?
Yes, we can. Let's start. Thank you. Let's welcome
Okay.
Mr. Vogel.
Can I start now? Yeah. And, Mr. C. Firstly, I would like to thank Professor Syuk Kau for inviting us, Indonesian Surveyor Association, or we call it Ikatan Surveyor Indonesia, for sharing update or outlook of Indonesian surveying, or the organization of which is led by me. I'm here with my Secretary General and Mr. Ade Komara, which will be delivering also the presentation about the future mapping in Indonesia, especially for the large-scale map. Okay. Okay. My outline will be. I would like to explain the accelerating the agrarian reform, which is probably a bit overlapping with a bit of the Rukyatan presentation a bit. And then our future 3D map for strata titling. And then I would like to also to show you how creative our young surveyor here in Indonesia. And second one, the fourth one is the accelerating of large scale map. It's just a brief slide with and number 5 is about the omnibus law. Recently, our government passed the new law, which impact also the surveyor, and also other updates and our concluding. Let me begin. Indonesia, we have around 125 million parcel, approximately. In 2016, it's only 54 million parcel are registered. Systematic and complete land registration program since 2017. Initially, it is 5 million parcel per year, but now the target is 10 million parcel every year. So hopefully in 2025, the all 125 million parcel will be program itself, or the project itself actually has recruited title which has not been mapped. You know what I mean, because in the past few years ago, really from the survey and mapping, they just survey without mapping it because lack of the base map at the time. 3 million still now we call it flying parcel. It's still a homework for us. So our strategy right now is, working village by village. We will have a complete village. It is introduced since this year, actually. Before we survey the parcels sporadically, one here, one there, one here, one there, and then now, since this year, we introduced what we call it complete village map. So we ask everyone, every surveyor, to do the survey and mapping for one village, and it must be completed, including the backlog or the flying parcel itself. So it is a huge task. The progress is there, but it's quite slow until now. Around, I'll coming to that about the number, yeah. But this is our approach right now, village by village, and then after village by village, we go to the district by district, and then we will have a complete city or regency map. That's our goal. So it's not just a number. Until now, we have around how many? Yeah, we have around 68 title issued. 68 title issued, and we have been surveying about 86 million parcel. Here you can see this. Currently 86 million parcel are surveyed, but only 70 million parcel are issued land title or land certificate. So the target in this year, since this year, is just not a number, but also the quality. The quality is how can we make complete. So if it is complete, there will be no movement within the parcel, because if the parcel is surveyed individually, another parcel is surveyed individually, it will be painful for us when we join them together as a index map. So this is the land parcel and the land title right now, and the percentage of validation. So now in the period of digital transformation, so when we call it 74% of the land book, this is land book is valid, meaning already 74% is converted, and we are confident that the data is valid. But in the land parcel itself, we are struggling with the validation. Because some parcel which has been surveyed several years ago, trying to put it on the map, but only 42% of those on the map are valid or with have like this complete land parcel and valid. So we will have a good topology, a good data. the way we do it, we overlay the data and the parcel and the base map, and we, we topological clean, because the boundary is individualized when we survey that. So this is the homework for us to make them topological clean. So the boundary is one between two adjacent parcels. And then after that, we do the delineation. And until now, as I talked about, we managed to achieve more than 1,288 villages for today's data. And it's counting, every day we have some additional complete village. And the number of the village in Indonesia is around, Pak Ade probably can help me, around 70,000 villages in Indonesia. So a lot work to do, a lot more work to do. Next, we also now, as I mentioned before, we also now do the modern land information system. Modern land information system actually is a digitalization of our data, and then in the long run, at the end of the day, we would try to provide information service to the people with the digitalization of our data. So we are funded by the World Bank for this, and we are now considering the PPP project for this, the public-private partnership for the modern land information system. So if you are interested in this, you can also involve in this. But we are now in the stage of the proposal. Once it is approved by the Financial Ministry, we will launch this project and the bidding, and the PPP project will be implementing this. So this is the scenario of the project, what we call it, Modern Land Information System. Now we are nearly in level 1. In this level is a cadastral maturity. So our pilot project will be in Jakarta, the capital of Indonesia. So we will make our 2D map is upgraded. So what do you mean by upgraded? It must be completed, topological clean, and we also try to improve the accuracy. In the level 2, we're trying to introduce the height and depth. We're trying to introduce the 3D things. We are going to do the LiDAR, photogrammetry LiDAR in Jakarta, and we will have an existing aerial image combined with the DTM, and it will be enriched in the 3D. And level 3 is a digital cadastre. In level 3, it will be implemented in Jakarta. So we will come to a combination between the land use planning or spatial planning with the land title itself. So we will be able to inform the customer, the people, not just the right of the land, but also the restriction and responsibilities in 3D format. So, for example, is the maximum height of the building and the coefficient for the building, the maximum coefficient of the buildings, something like that. And level 4, or the ultimate goal of this modern land information system, we will have a digital twin. Digital twin. So we will do the building information model or management for each building, and the strata title will be based on that BIM data or BIM model. So this pilot, right now, our surveyor actually still doing this study with the local government and trying to put a standard for this. So if you have in Taiwan, for example, do have a standard for the strata title 3D, 3-dimension strata title, I think we will be very glad if you could share also your standard about this, because right now we are preparing this. So right now, Indonesian Surveying Association now encourage the government, especially in province of Jakarta, the capital city, because there are a lot of high-rise building in Indonesia, and according to World Bank, also in 2050, the 2/3 of the people will be live in the city. So if they live in a city, meaning they live in a vertical living, vertical working, something like that, just like you in Taiwan, in Taipei. So we're trying to push the local government and also the National Land Agency, which in charge in land registration or strata title registration, to introduce the BIM data for the high building permit and also for the strata title. And we hope that georeferencing, because the BIM actually sometimes is done by the architect, and where is the position of the surveying? The position of the surveying is georeferencing the BIM data if it is already exists, or surveying the BIM, the interior, the exterior, for the as-built or for the existing building, which has no BIM data at the first time. So in the collaboration between Indonesian Surveyor Association, Ministry of Agrarian Affairs, and also the provincial government of Jakarta, now we are trying to make a standard for this thing. So the digital twin for the building, it can be georeferenced in our map. And next, so I come to Adi Ruhyatan actually mentioned about the young surveyor. So I'll show you one of our young surveyor creativity. Probably when you came to Jakarta last year, we already announced that we will have make this, and now it's working in Jakarta. What we call it is application of Get Survey. The name is Get Survey, mobile apps for society. So first, it is actually to promote the local surveyor, especially in Jakarta, to do the work which is required by the local government for the city plan information. In Indonesia, if you want to build a house or a building, you need to submit the existing parcel, and also the existing building. So we're trying to help the society and also the provincial by provide the service of this. And how do we provide the service is by introducing this application, Get Survey. So the people just like Uber actually, just like Uber or just like Airbnb, which is a marketplace for the owner of the property and the customer, also owner of a taxi and a customer. Here, the Get Survey is a kind of marketplace for the customer and the surveyor. So we provide the service for the city plan information, and once we have the standard, we will have the service of the 3D surveying and also the land registration soon. So this application actually created by the young surveyor The idea is simply when the customer, if they want to make the land survey, just download this and install the GeoSurvey in the mobile phone, which is available in the Play Store and App Store, and the surveyor accept the customer orders and then they can transfer the quote and then do the chatting, and then once they're done, they make an agreement. The agreement will be kept in the association, and the association will monitor whether the job is already finished or not. And the result of this will be submitted to the province office electronically. So actually, this is the masterpiece of a young surveyor, because I'm too old, or we are too old actually for this. So the young surveyor creating this, and then I'll show you another creativity of our young surveyor. They have a podcast. Podcast. The name is Posisi. Posisi is position in Bahasa Indonesia. So Posisi is the podcast of ISI. ISI is Indonesian Surveyor Association. So they're talking about the career path of the geodesy and geomatica. They're trying to enhance the public about the information of the surveyor, the career, the future of the graduation, and then they're talking about the unboxing survey equipment. So if you have a new equipment in Taiwan, our young surveyor will be delighted to do the unboxing and broadcast it in our podcast. And then they interview some of our leader here, and then even they make some funny things about the mystery of the, what do you call it, supernatural things when they do the survey in the field. It's just about the horror things of the surveyor experience. So it's funny, but I think the idea is good where the surveyor is trying to inform the public what is surveyor and how can we provide or how can we help the public. And then move to the accelerating of large-scale map. In Indonesia now we are lack of the large-scale map. When we call about the large-scale map, it's what do you call it? The scale of 1 to 5,000 to 1 to 1,000. And Pak Ade Komara will talk about this deeply. But actually, now Indonesians are trying to, using the sophisticated technology such as IFSA for data acquisition and machine learning and also deep learning for data processing. So our colleagues in Indonesian Surveyor Association a bit worried about this, because it's I don't know, is it a threat or opportunity for us? Because probably nearly more than 80% of the job of the human labor for data interpretation, something like that, is already taken over by the machine. So we need to move fast for this. And if you have any experience of this, you could also share to us about how can we shift our position from the data interpretation probably for another position in contributing for the large scale map. So Pak Ade Komara will talk deeply about this. So our responsibility in the association is really to prepare our surveyor to be ready for this, to be ready to shift our position in the mapping project. And I also like to inform you about the new law passed, which is passed by the General Assembly, probably 1 week or 2 weeks ago. We call it Omnibus Law. Omnibus Law in job creation. The name is in job creation. Omnibus Law actually is the integration of probably more than 60 laws or 60 acts before this. Because we have a lot of acts which is regulating. Sometimes it is contrarian between one law and another law, one act with another act. So this omnibus law actually integrating all these laws and making into one single law, and to make it simple and encourage the job creation in Indonesia. So we are very happy because in this new law enacted law, it is the first time the surveyor is mentioned in a law. Before, surveyor is not recognized in any legislation in the law level, act level. We are already recognized in a level of ministerial regulation. So not in the act. So right now we are very happy because it is confirmed that surveyor as a regulated profession is recognized. And BIG, National Land Agency, National Geospatial Information Agency, also now regulating, create or drafting the derivative law for this act. So hopefully this act strengthen Indonesian Surveyor Association for our position in the market or in the development of this country. So once we have this omnibus law, actually we are right now still pushing the government, especially the Ministry of Agrarian Affairs, to issue a regulation for the private cadastral surveyor to be able to practice in daily land registration. Because right now we are recognized and licensed for the Ministry of Agrarian Affairs, but only for the project as a systematic project for the whole village. But until now, they are reluctant, to allow us to contribute in the daily land registration, such as subdivision, something like that. So we're trying to push the minister for allowing us to be able also to do the land registration. And with BIG, Indonesian Surveyor Association is also involved in drafting the government regulation for the surveying professionalism, surveying competency, what is the professional surveyor, what is the registered surveyor, and what is the licensed surveyor. And hopefully it will be recognized and accepted by the whole agency in Indonesia. Because right now, we need to apply a license from the BIG or National Geospatial Information Agency. We need to apply the license from the National Land Agency. We need to apply the license for the Ministry of Public Works. We also just obtained the Professional Association accreditation from Ministry of Public Works and Housing as the only accredited association in geospatial information or in the surveying. So we are happy that we are now acknowledged or recognized by its institution, its public agency in Indonesia, such as Ministry of Public Works, Ministry of Public Works, Ministry of Geospatial Information Agency, Ministry of Land Affairs or Agrarian Affairs. But in the future, what we hope is supposed to be one surveyor regulation in Indonesia, which is accepted or recognized by all agencies. So our goal still in there that we're trying to strengthening the industry and the infrastructure of the geospatial information, especially with our CPD, with our collaboration with the ASEAN flag, with our collaboration with Taiwan, CFSM. We're trying to, to help Indonesia to have the state-of-the-art technology, especially for the surveyor and mapping. So right now, our association actually has a good and strong network or collaboration with the government. We are involved in many regulation drafting, and we are partner with the government in a problem solver in studying such as standardize the BIM data, something like that. So hopefully we will be a reliable and independent organization, and we are always committed to our member, to our professional surveyor, which have the competence, which have the license, which have the certificate, and we are maintain our competitiveness to adapt with the new technology, new change, and with the disruption era. I think I am finished with my presentation. So Ade, probably you could continue with your presentation. Thank you, Mr. C. Professor.
Thank you very much. Very informative speech, and congratulations for ISI get the authorization for the accreditation. CFSM has the accreditation power in Taiwan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Virgo.
Yes.
Okay, let's go to the next speaker, Mr. Adi. Are you ready?
Yes.
Adi, I stopped my share screen, yeah?
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
You should stop sharing. Thank you. Please, Adi.
Mr. Adi, I saw Mr. Hado is online as well.
Yes.
Hi, Mr. Hado. How are you?
Fine, bro.
Yeah, many people here met you before, either in Taiwan or in Indonesia. Yes, Mr. Eddie, may we have your screen?
Okay.
Okay, let's welcome Mr. Eddie.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Shi, for inviting us to this forum. Our best regards from Mr. Arif Safi, who is supposed to speak here in front of you, but due to his tight schedule, so he asked me to represent him in presenting or more introducing our large-scale based mapping program nationwide. So my name is Ade Komara Mulyana. I'm the head or the director of the Center for Topographic Mapping and Toponym at BIG, the Geospatial Information Agency in our country. So we have two agencies dealing with surveying mapping. Our agencies, which is the Geospatial Information Agency and actually Mr. Pirgo's agency, the Land National Agency, that deals with cadastral mapping and land certificate and so forth. Just to make sure that we have the same understanding, although I assume that everybody is an expert in this area. So by large-scale map, we means like Pak Firgo also mentioned, map at scale 1 to 1,000, 1 to 5,000, and 1 to 10,000. For us, it is especially interesting to talk about 1 to 5,000 for the reason that I would like to explain later. And yes, we still use the word scale, even in our latest regulation, although we mean by scale is actually not only the relationship between the distance on the map and the real distance on the field, but by scale we actually means more on the level of geometric accuracy and the level of detail of information that will be displayed or will be contained in a map or in a database. So therefore, in our internal discussion, we are right now initiating to use the word load, LOAD, instead of scale. This is a combination of level of accuracy and detail. So because scale is more on 2D framework, but we are going to shift ourselves more towards 3D database or 3D data. So the details or the LOAD that we know from the 3D system model will also play a role. But again, by scale, we not only mean by the relationship between the distance on the map and the distance on the field, but by scale, we actually mean these two things, the level of the geometric accuracy and the level of the detail of the information that is displayed in the map. So our base map has 8 layers, starting with coastline, and then hydrographic features like rivers, lakes, and so on. Hypsography, contour lines, or the mathematic lines for our marine map, and then buildings and public facilities, transportation, land cover, administrative boundaries, starting from the village boundary up to the state boundary with our neighboring countries, and also the toponyms, the geographical names, the names of mountain, the names of rivers, the name of roads, the names of buildings, and so on and so on. So those are our base map. So we have a program to provide base map for the whole nation at different scale, although it is divided into 3 groups: large scale, medium scale, and small scale. The mandate to us at the Geospatial Information Agency, or BIG in Indonesian language, that we have to establish is base map, based geospatial information at different map scale. So when we talk about large scale, we mean 1 to 1,000 up to 1 to 10,000. There is a presidential regulation number 18 in this year on national midterm planning to 2020 to 2024 that mandates us to map the whole non-forest area of the country at 1 to 5,000 scale. One map sheet of our 1.5K is about 2 kilometers by 2 kilometers, or 2.25 times 2.25 kilometers square. And then we have regulation on spatial planning that detailed spatial planning should be made at the level 1 to 5,000 scale. So therefore, for us, really 1 to 5,000 map scale is as a high priority to be finished as soon as possible, because the national demand is already there. Why we need to accelerate the 1 to 5K base mapping program? Because, like I mentioned in the previous slide, it will support the acceleration in detailed spatial planning program that in its turn, it will be needed by our so-called online single submission system. This is a system to manage, to integrate all business permit in Indonesia, managed by the coordinating Ministry of Economic Affairs. So by using this system, we would like to make sure that no permit is overlapped because we have had some bad experience where we found out that one permit obtained by a company, for instance, a mining company, overlapped in location with other permits given to maybe the plantation company. So on the field, those two companies fight each other because they thought that both of them have already permits, which is true. They both have a permit from the local government, so the permit is there, but the permits overlap each other in location. So we would like to prevent this kind of accident from happening again by introducing the online single submission system. And this system will refer to detailed spatial planning to check whether the permit asked by a company or the location of that permit is accordingly with detailed spatial planning. Also, we need large-scale base map program to support disaster management activities. Like you already know that Indonesia is very rich in terms of disasters. Like 2 years ago, we have tsunami in one of our province capitals. We would like to relocate some housing up there, and therefore we of course need a very detailed and very good map. And we have a bigger program named a One Map Policy program. This has been going on for a while. So without a base map, a good base map, this One Map Policy program, of course, will not be implemented properly. In short, that base mapping program will support the investment climate in our country, and at the end it will support our national economic growth. So that's very important, and therefore the government also has realized the importance of having a very good base map program for the whole country. This is the availability of base maps at various scales, like starting from the smallest one to 250,000, up to 25,000 more or less. The combination of 1 to 25,000 and 1 to 50,000 have covered the whole country nationwide. So we don't have any problem with that. Well, the problem is maybe the updating of those medium scale base map. However, if we see here the red boxes, these are the location of 1 to 5K maps that have been produced in the last 5 to 6 years. So we see they are only scattered around the country. So the total area of the red boxes are about 1.9, let's say 2% of the whole total land area of Indonesia. Only 40,000 kilometers square compared to the whole land area of Indonesia of 1.9 million kilometers square. Up to now, this is the technology that we have been using this year. So starting with data acquisition using aerial photos and LiDAR for 1 to 5K. We have used airborne SAR previously, but for 1 to 25K. And then once we get the data from aerial survey, we do the stereo plotting using 3D stereo environment to extract the map features, draw the buildings. We extract everything manually. We do DTM processing from LiDAR DSM automatically and created contour lines from that. And then once the vegetation, the straw plotting is done, our teams go to the field to do some verification work, also to collect the toponyms and also the information on administrative boundaries. And then, of course, the result of the field survey will be then input into the database. We do the topological check, we do simulsing, and so on to create a geodatabase to be at the end published in our geo portal, both in form of geodatabase file or in form of cartographic file. These are the business process that we have been using up to now. Because the demand is there, we need to accelerate the whole process, thinking that we can replace like the straw plotting process by, like Mr. Virgo mentioned, using some artificial intelligence technique like deep learning to automatically extract the map features. And we have been doing some studies on that. Also, to enhance or to speed up the whole process, maybe we should look at another technology alternative, not only using aerial photos and LiDAR. These are our specification for 1 to 5K aerial photos and LiDAR survey. Nothing fancy here, but we require, for instance, for the photos, drone sampling distance of 15 centimeter, overlap, the side lap, and so on. And for the aerial triangulation, we require 0.5 meter in accuracy in terms of RMSE, or 0.75 in terms of CE 90. 8 to 4 ppm for LiDAR data, and so on. These are our specification right now. The challenges is like, as I previously mentioned, is the huge area of our country, 1.9 million kilometers square. Last year, we were able to map 14,000 kilometers square. That's an increase more than double from our previous capacities of about 7,000 kilometers square in 2018. So looking at this number, actually we have done some good works. However, again, 14,000 kilometers square compared to 1.9 million kilometers square is nothing. So we need to be creative, finding some breakthroughs, how we can speed up the whole process to cover the whole country at 1 to 5K map. Also using only aerial photo and LiDAR, we are limited in terms of the equipments because our private partners who do the work actually on behalf of us, the number of the private companies who have own the equipment is very limited. Also, we have limited availability for the survey aircrafts, less than 10 in total for the whole country. So even if, let's say, our budget is double every year, due to the lack of availability of the aircraft, we will not be able to double the capacity of our map production. So we have to look for optimum solution combining three aspects. The cost, we would like to have as cheap as possible, of course. And then the time, it must be fast because the presidential regulation said that the 1.5K map should be finished by 2024. And then the quality must be good. Those three aspects, usually it's very hard to get those three aspects together. Usually, yes, you can have something cheap and something fast, but the quality is usually not good. If you would like to have a good quality with fast processing time, it will not be cheap. So, and so on. Those three aspects, actually, they are very hard to meet at one point. But we have to find something in between, like optimizing, compromising those three aspects. This is just the list of the technology. I'm sure that you are all aware of this. But this is the base map technical specification in terms of geometric accuracy. So we divide the specification into three classes: class 1, class 2, class 3. For instance, for 1 to 5K, line number 8. So the horizontal accuracy should be 1.5 maximum CE90, but in class 2, it could be 3 meters, and in class 3, it could be as low as 4.5 meters CE90. So because this specification offers some flexibility in map to be produced, then maybe we can play around with this. Like if we use the photos and LiDAR, sure, we can get data for class 1, but it's very expensive and it will take a long time. Maybe then we can take another alternatives like airborne radar that might not provide us with the best data quality, class 1, but it could satisfy perhaps class 3 or even class 2 specification. That's actually the main idea. So we are going to combine available technologies in producing our 1 to 5K base map. So this is the challenges. What we want is the technology, the process, the methodology that will fulfill the standard of our national standard 1.5K base map. And it should go very fast. The data acquisition should be accomplished within 2.5 years for the whole country, for the whole land area. We are a tropical country, so the cloud cover is always a problem. We have more than 16,000 islands, so mobilization will be a challenge if we use a small system like drones. In theory, yes, we can deploy, I don't know how many hundred drones to map the countries, but we will have some big problems in mobilization because like we have more than 16,000 islands. And then in the map production itself, we have to maximize the automation, like using deep learning to automatically extract the map feature to meet the 2024 deadline. Like Virgo also mentioned, we are moving toward 3D database. Although for 1.5K base map, we think for the first target is we are going to construct the 3D database with level of detail vertical equivalent to LOD1 in terms of 3D city model, just for the basis for the whole country. So this is the challenges. And this is our plan. We have to accelerate our large-scale base mapping program. We have been preparing this program since 2018, 2019. We have been doing some studies. We putting some proposal to our national planning agencies and Ministry of Finance to get this program funded. I would say that the fund, the budget is now secured at least for 2021. So therefore, within maybe next couple months or even weeks, the tender process for this project will start, and hopefully by early next year, the contract signing can be done, can be implemented. So the data acquisition will start next year for 2.5 years until 2023. But in 2022, when we already get some data acquisition result, we can start the map production process. So we are not going to wait until the whole country is surveyed first. But as soon as there's some data available to be processed, we are going to process it to produce the map, because the deadline is 2024. This is what we have in mind right now. Again, this is not fixed yet, but actually the basic idea is we are going to combine available technologies to get the best or the optimum result. Again, combining the three factors, the time, the budget, and the quality. We would like to have as cheap as possible, as fast as possible, and as good as possible. We have set different specification for urban, rural, and forest. For urban, we would like to have very good data, high quality data. Therefore, we think we are going still to use aerial photos and LiDAR for urban. But for rural, the specification will be less. Therefore, airborne radar, the latest development, will be considered. But if some LiDAR providers think that they can also provide LiDAR data with lower cost, compensated by huge areas or huge volumes of work, then we are also, of course, open to for that option. And forest, it will be yet less demanding for the specification, and we also consider airborne radar for that. But we know airborne radar will give us only ortho-rectified imagery in black and whites. It needs to be complemented by optical sensor. It could come from high resolution satellite imagery, or maybe for some spot we can fly drones using non-magnetic aerial photos or any other options for that. But we are sure that using airborne radar we can get DSM and DTM of high quality. Only for the ortho-rectified imagery, we think that it needs to be complemented by high-resolution satellite imaging or aerial photos. For the map production itself, we would like to implement the automated map feature extraction. We did some experiments, some pilot project in implementing the deep learning. These images are examples of our experiments using aerial photos, satellite imageries to automatically extract the buildings, because based on our experience, the buildings are the most time-consuming feature to be extracted during the map production process. So again, for data acquisition, we are going to combine all available technologies to obtain or to get the best, the most, or the optimum solution. And in the map production side, we are going to implement the artificial intelligence techniques like deep learning to automatically extract the map features. I think that's all that I can present to you. Again, thank you very much for inviting us, and nice meeting you. Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie. Thank you very much. Very informative. And we do know the breakthrough needed and especially with airborne LiDAR, Taiwan is very experienced. And in case of need, we would like to help. And follow that, I have invited 4 panelists, and all of them are from Taiwan surveying industry. And the first one is a lady, Miss Zheng Yuwen, Mr. Zheng. And due to the time limit, probably we keep the presentation within 5 minutes.
The application of LiDAR and the hydraulic DEM. And Taiwan is affected by typhoon, earthquake, and the changing type of rainfall, which cause mountain landslide and even the change of landform. To understand the situation after the disaster and to analyze to protection damage area, we need a faster and more accurate technique to survey changing of the national land. Traditionally, we gather terrain data by aerial photography survey. Nowadays, it has changed to using the technology of LiDAR. And LiDAR has the future. Every point in LiDAR including XYZ information, and it has multiple echo features like this picture. The first one point maybe get the tree height, and the second and third point maybe get the tree height also, but some point maybe get the ground elevation. And the last return, we hope all the points can get the ground elevation. So we can, because Taiwan is located in the subtropical zone, there has a lot of forest. The multiple echo feature let us has the chance to get the ground elevation. By classifying the all points, we can get the digital surveillance model and the digital evaluation model very faster and precisely. From 2010 to 2015, there are 3 to 4 companies joining this project using the LiDAR technology to collect DTM in Taiwan. So we have the whole DTM data already. The achievement including 1 meter DSM and DEM and the 25 centimeter also image. And even now the data is still updating. And now I will introduce about hydraulic DEM very short time. So hydraulic DEM which we promote now. Sorry. So fuel LiDAR could be applied on the water resource and engineering from LiDAR. We already have DEM and the DSM, DEM and DSM. And now we want to make the hydraulic DEM. We need to establish the structure and the bread line. The structure and the bread line. The bread line including the full control facility and the embankment. When break line add to grid interpolation, can generate high precision 1 meter hydraulic DEM data. But however, in water resource study, usually calculate data from wide range area. So we have to slow down the resolution of DEM. Because of the break line, we still could keep the detailed information such as embankment and the other building, like this picture. When HYDM 1 meter, it has a lot of detailed information. But we interpretation HYDM to low down 10 meter. The detail like river, like embankment will disappear. But if we add the 3D line, like break line, we will still keep the detailed information on 10 meter DEM, hydraulic DEM. So therefore, on the left picture, therefore, we could get a whole map which is more close to the real world. As conclusion, the LiDAR could use on disaster prevention, national engineering construction, and so on. And LiDAR is the best way to quickly, precisely obtain the data. This big data could help us to set up small land. Okay, thank you.
Adi and Virgo, and Ms. Chen is also a professional surveyor. And our next presentation will be delivered by Edward. And Edward Chang is also a professional surveyor. Units of LiDAR, airborne LiDAR in Indonesia right now.
I'm sorry, how many?
How many airborne LiDAR units?
I think there are about 5 to 6 companies who owns this LiDAR system that are our partners.
I see.
So less than 10.
And in Taiwan, we have 5 companies owns the airborne LiDAR, right? Yeah, we have 5 companies. Okay, let's welcome Edward.
Hello, everyone. I'm Edward Zhang from Geosec company. And today I'm very happy we are introduction to really case in Taiwan. We use UAV for our government. And first appearance is for our FASI. And FASI is our major government organization that in charge of our aerial photo. And in 2018, they try to they establish their fixed wing UAS. Their purpose is for aerial photo and mapping and further resourcing and forest resource monitoring and disaster response. And they brought to our fixed wing UAS. Each one has phase 1 media format metric camera. Its resolution is have 100 million pixel with RGB and NIR. We put the camera in our sky aerial UAV body, and we will same time will have catch the RGB and the NIR image. Then they can confuse together or can calculate for the NDVI and the CIR factor. And is a top view of their UAV. This is a carrier trunk. These 5 people is their pilot. They plan to. They hope we can train their pilot. Maybe after 3 years, they can operate their UAV by themselves. But now it's still our company operates the UAV. In 2019, we have finished about 30 region. Each one fly, we take photo about 25 kilometer. This one is a sample image. Its resolution is about 5 to 8 centimeter. This sample show that we can see the cabbage, and also right now, right inside you can see the one kind of bird is named maybe like I don't know how to spell. Is a one kind of bird from Egypt. Its size is about 100 centimeter. Okay, next one I will show that we have built a UAV cloud computer platform. Many engineers only can know how to fly the UAV, but they don't familiar with the calculation of the result for the result. we build a platform that very easy for engineer can upload their image and their pose or even the control point. Then we can calculate the also photo and or the 3D model. Yeah. And for really case, this case is for the highway bureau. Yeah, they need to monitor the slot curve. Yeah, firstly they need to embed the coded target setting. Then they can use its mobile phone to take picture or use UAV, yeah, by themselves, yeah, and send the image to our platform. Then we can generate the 3D model and can compare the different time image, yeah. Then we can show. Okay, sorry. We can show where the is a new plant growth, and yeah, maybe somewhere a rocky slide. Yeah. Yeah, is my brief introduction. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Edward. And Eddie just mentioned about Eddie just mentioned about the UAV, and the UAV is one. I believe that is quite strong in GeoSat company. And our next speaker is Cinda Liu. Cinda Liu from the Strong company, and Cinda has been accredited APAC engineer recently. Cinda.
Bisakah mendengar kamu Pak Ati, Pak Berko? 我先用印尼文讲。
bisa, bagus.
Bisakah?
Ya, bisa.
Ya, karena COVID-19 hanya bisa melihat satu sama lain melalui internet. Saya juga tahu kondisi COVID-19 di Indonesia masih buruk, ya. Saya hati-hati ya, dan sehat selalu.
Oke.
Sip.
Oke, lanjut. Saya akan dilakukan presentasi dalam Inggris, ya.
Hebat juga.
Bisakah?
Silakan.
Okay, silakan. Okay, because we just have a very short period of time to do my presentation, so I just try my best to make it quick. Okay, this is the introduction to the mobile mapping systems, and which is our services in Taiwan of my companies. Oh, okay. We are from Stronghold Engineering, and this is my CV, and I'm a registered APAC engineer in surveying, and of course a licensed surveyor in Taiwan. And our overseas posts is based on Malaysia and Timor-Leste, which I spent a lot of time to stay there. Because this year is quite different, so you can see me in Taiwan. Okay, let's back to my topic. What is MMS? This is the three parts of it, and the mobile mapping system. And why is mobile? It's because now we have a multi-platform to do the survey, including vessels, cars, airplanes. And that it gives us mobilities and high accuracies of post data. And how we do the mapping, of course, this is the three conventional S, remote sensing, GNSS, and the GIS. And MMS as a service, we want to discuss how we manage to do from data acquisition to total solutions. And these are the three elements of MMS, which is platform and posts and the sensors. And the post is, which means refers to positioning, orientation, and this is whole combining of systems. And this is our mobile mapping system. I would give an example by cars. And not just only the cars, because we do the bathymetric survey and of course, like other field, like track and field surveying, or even common roads on the cities. Or this is, or can be combining in a mobile mapping system. Which this is a comparative slide. And we will give the high resolution point cloud and attributes and the vector data, and doing the panoramic image in the same time. And this is some features of our mobile mapping systems, which is laser scanning and the pulse and the camera systems. I will show you some videos how we do the mappings, give the high resolution point cloud data, and which will be applied to the HD map, which is implemented now by the Ministry of Interiors. And we do the laser scanning and a panoramic image acquisitions in the same times, which can give you a very high accurate map. And this is an example we combining to the different kind of data sources from the laser scanning on the car, laser scanning on the airplanes, and the bathymetric echo sounder data above under the sea. And this is a Guandu Bridge. It's a very, very famous attractions in Taipei. And thanks all. And if you have a cell phone, please to scan our QR code for more info. Thank you. Terima kasih ya.
Thank you, Sinda. Mr. Hado, I just learned that you would like to make some remarks. And would you like to present to, talk to the audience about what the remarks you would like to make?
Yes, okay. Thank you, Prof. About the big scale mapping in BIG and correlation with the Association of Surveyor in Indonesia, I think the big issue is the competencies and the persons with the competence of radar is limited. So maybe in the future we can learn with you about the expert in IFSAR or radar. This the first issue I think in Indonesia. The second issue is Mr. Virgo was talking about the land administration with the PTSL or land registering, yeah? And the World Bank was give us a loan too. So the next issue is how the licensed surveyor, cadastral surveyor in Indonesia is can practice and give the service to the people, the public, person by person, not the project from the government. I think the two big issue, and the third issue is last year we sent two people to Taiwan seminar about the 3D modeling, about the autonomous vehicle, I think. So we want to continue about collaboration about this. You know, in Indonesia, the availability of a big scale for the vehicle, autonomous vehicle or the 3D modeling is not yet ready. So not ready yet. So I think we can collaborate in the future about three issues. So we want to learn to CFSM surveyor and expert here about the
I'll make a standard for the 3D modeling, for the autonomous vehicle mapping, and about the in Indonesia, you know, Mr. Hugo was mentioned about the availability of function of the building. So we have to mapping the interior and exterior and position of the building before the government give the permit for use that building. So we have to make a standard too. So I think easy surveyor Indonesia can collaborate, continuing the collaboration with the CSFM expert and surveyor to make a standard. That standard. So I think that for issue in my remark for the two presentation of Mr. Ade, Mr. Virgo, and I think one more thing about the leader. You know, in Indonesia, any location you cannot capture with the plane because you know. We have the crowd every years, so we have to make capture with the radar. So that's the big issue. Why in the future in Indonesia want to completing the map, the big scale with the radar IFSAR. I think that's all. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you, Mr. Hado. Thank you very much. And due to the time, then I wish to thank all the speakers and all the participants here. And let's conclude this session. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hado, Mr. Virgo, Mr. Adi, and Tian Yuan.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof.
Okay, we thank you. So can we leave the meeting, Professor Shish?
Yes. Hi.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Nanti kita bisa ngikut.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Yes. Mr. Wang. See you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Also the ASEAN flag colleagues.
Yes.
Good presentation.
Yes. 好，
Okay. Good.
我把麦克风交给启峰，我们就下午开始，下午是 FIG 的场次，2点开始。Hi, good morning, Professor Steiger. Can you hear me?
Good morning, good afternoon to all of you. I hope,
Yes, you are right.
I hope you can hear me.
Yes, loud and clear. And I'm very happy that you could participate in this forum. And our coordinator of this session is Professor Jimmy Zhou. And Jimmy Zhou is from Fengjia University. And now I hand the time over to Jimmy.
Hi there, Dr. Rodolph Stanger. You there? Steiger. I'm sorry. Am I pronounced correctly? Steiger, Dr. Steiger?
Steiger
Okay.
is correctly.
Okay,
It's very
good. Thank you.
It's even very good.
Okay. Dr. Steiger, my name is Tian Chu. I'm from the Fengjia University. I think I met you 2019, the Hanoi FIG conference. So it's my honor to have you as our first speaker and the only speaker for this session about the FIG challenges and activities. I think we have 3 panelists also working inside this small conference room in Taiwan now. So one of the panelists, Dr. Wang, he's the former, can you? he's now the vice president of the Chinese Federation of the Surveying and Mapping. And also Professor Han from Taiwan University. He's a professor in the Department of Civil Engineering. And also, I think you have already very familiar with the Professor Shi. So he's also sitting as one of the panelists. So three of them will have some kind of comments or some kind of further things discussed about what's the situation in Taiwan. So that's welcome Dr. Stengers Steiger, I'm sorry. Let's welcome Dr. Steigers for a presentation about the FIG activities and challenges. So I'll hand over to the entire video to you, back to you now. Okay. So thank you. I think the entire session of this one will we'll have about 90 minutes. So you can very flexible adjust your schedule, because we have 3 panelists and they can limit their talk to 1 minute to 1 hour. So you can have very flexibility about your time. Okay, so I will hand it over to you. So let us welcome Dr. Steiger. Okay, Steiger. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much. Dear colleagues and friends, good afternoon to Taiwan, or in our country, it's still morning. It's 8 o'clock here in Germany, and the night temperature was about 4 degrees Celsius, which is probably very cold for you, but for us, this is very common. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. And if not so, please interrupt me and tell me if we have technical problems or similar things. I'm very happy to be here as president of the International Federation of Surveyors, FIG, but I have to announce that I have to leave in 90 minutes because 15 minutes later I have to open the Commission 7 annual meeting. And this is now, in these times of virtual conferences, very easy. I can sit in my home office and I can open several conferences at the time. So I would like to share with you my screen, and I hope that you can see this. Can you see this? Yeah. Okay. I have, no, you should, where can we go in? You see, we are not in presentation mode. I do not know why I can't go to presentation mode. So now you should see my slides. Okay. Now it should work. Okay, I have prepared a presentation of about, let's say, 60 minutes, and then we can use the remaining 30 minutes for discussion and interaction also with the panelists. And my presentation is divided, let me say, in 3 parts. The first part, I would like to introduce you to the International Federation of Surveyors. In the second part, I would like to talk about my term of office, my plan for the current period, and then at the end, I would like to talk about the near future. Also a little bit, of course, about COVID and the current threat we are all living under. So let me start. What is FIG? FIG is a federation of national surveying associations. We represent more than 100 member associations all over the world. Here you can see the map. In red are the normal member associations, and the other colors are representing different types, like academic members, corporate members, or affiliate members. We are recognized by United Nations and the World Bank as a so-called non-governmental organization. NGO is the abbreviation for this. And we are covering the whole range of professional fields within the global surveying community. And you can see here all the different branches we try to cover. The term surveying, we are using as a generic term, which is embracing the whole profession. And you can see here on the left-hand side, all the different branches. And on the right-hand side, you can see the structure of our commissions and how we try to cover the whole field. So whenever in the conjunction of FIG, we are using the term surveying, we include most or less everything inside surveying and geoinformation and geospatial. What is FIG doing? One major event every year, we organize a working week, which is a 5-day event, and every 4 years, we organize a congress. Unfortunately, we had to skip, due to COVID-19, the working week in the Netherlands. Currently, we are organizing the working week again for the Netherlands for next year, but I will talk about this more in detail later at the end of my presentation. What we are also doing is we are publishing. Here you can see our latest publications. They can all be downloaded from our website, fig.net, free of charge, because we want to disseminate and we want to strengthen our profession. What means FIG exactly? FIG is an acronym and stands for Fédération Internationale des Géomètres. This was French. And in the former days, FIG had 3 official languages, which is English, which is French, and which was German. And it is very important, please do not say FIG. If you talk about FIG, say FIG. When was FIG founded? FIG was founded 1878, so 140 years ago in Paris, France, by 7 national surveying associations, mainly from Europe. Why do we have so much French in this? When FIG was founded, French was the language of science, art, and diplomacy. English was at that point, at that moment, not important. Until 1998, FIG had 3 official languages, English, French, and German, including simultaneous translation, which was always complicated, which was expensive, and the people were not very happy. So in 1998, FIG decided to have English as the only official language in FIG. How is FIG organized? In the center, you see the council. This is the president, myself, together with 4 vice presidents, and the FIG director. The highest academic, or the highest institutional element is the General Assembly, which is created by the member associations. And according to the size of the member associations, each member association has 1, 2, or 3 votes. We have a foundation, I will talk about this later on, and we have 10 technical commissions. I will also talk about 10 technical commissions in detail. We have 3 networks, we have permanent institutions, and we have a task force on governance currently, and we have a task force on the sustainable development goals. There is an element called ACO, Advisory Committee of Commission Officers, which is a link between the commissions and council. And we have a permanent office. We have a permanent office in Copenhagen, Denmark, which is supporting us very much. Apart from this permanent office, where FIG has employed people, we are all volunteers. For example, me, myself, in my first life, I'm teaching surveying engineering at the University of Applied Sciences in Bochum, Germany. And in my second life, I'm currently the FIG president. Here you can see me together with my counsel. On the left-hand side, Jixiang Zhang. Please apologize for my maybe not correct pronunciation. From China, you know him very well. Diane Dumashi from the United Kingdom. Orhan Erkan from Turkey. And Mikael Lilje from Sweden. Let's talk about the FIG commissions. We have 10 technical commissions. Here you can see on the right-hand side an overview of this. And these technical commissions, they are elected for a term of 4 years. The current term is 2019 to 2022. And the next General Assembly, which will take place next year in 2021, we will vote the next generation of commission chairs for the period 2023 and 2026. This looks maybe for you a little bit far ahead, but these so-called chair elects, they need also time for preparation so that they can start with a full throttle at the 1st of January in 23. What is the task of the technical commissions? They should give technical advice to council and to member associations, and they are also heavily involved in the development and organization of the technical program at our events. Let's have a look in detail to these commissions. If you look at the structure, you'll see the first 2 commissions in gray and the commissions 3 to 10 in the light blue. I hope this is visible for you. The first 2 are addressing very general terms, while 3 to 10, they are addressing specific terms within our profession. FIG Commission 1, Professional Standards and Practice. The commission chair is Winnie Xu from Hong Kong. I hope you know her well. And I guess you know her well. And she has installed 3 working groups. The first one on international ethical standards, women in surveying, and international boundary settlement and demarcation. The second commission is led by David Mitchell from Australia. Here we talk about professional education, so all aspects of education in our profession. You know, this is becoming more and more important. Buzzwords like long life learning and professional development are becoming more and more important. And his working groups are developing academic networks on knowledge sharing, curriculum on the move, how is our profession changing, and learning styles in surveying education. FIG Commission 3, Spatial Information Management. Hartmut Müller from Germany is driving this, and this is one of our big technical commissions. They are addressing smart cities, big data, user-generated spatial content, empowering communities, 3D cadastre, and GIS tools for spatial planning, and of course, the future of geospatial. Commission 4, hydrography. Our Earth, our globe is covered something like 70% by water, so hydrography is also very important. And this is our esteemed colleague Razali from Malaysia, who is the chair of this commission. They have working groups on standards and guidelines, blue growth and UN Sustainability Development Goal number 14, mapping the plastic. This is in order to reduce pollution, in order to improve our environment, and finally, marine development and administration. FIG Commission 5 is a very traditional commission, positioning and measurement, addressing a topic which is an evergreen, which is always especially under technical development of big importance. It is run by Daniel Roman, chief geodesist from NOAA in the United States. They have 5 different working groups: standards, 3D reference frames, vertical reference frames. GNSS is standing for Global Navigation Satellite Systems, multi-sensor systems, and finally, cost-effective positioning. Commission 6, engineering surveys. There are 3 working groups which were introduced by Maria Ruiz Enriquez from Portugal here in Europe. She is Senior Research Officer at the Applied Geodesy Unit of the National Laboratory for Civil Engineering. And the working groups are deformation monitoring and analysis, landslide monitoring, and UAVs, very current topic in surveying. FIG Commission number 7, led by Daniel Paez. He's originally from Colombia, but currently living and working in Australia. He's a technical director of his own company, INECA. And the working groups are cadastre technologies and smart cities, fit-for-purpose implementation, cadastral template 2.0 and the SDGs, and urban challenges. Commission 7 is one of our big commissions, and this is kind of addressing the USPs, because FIG is the only international professional organization who is really addressing cadastre. Every year they organize an annual event, which should have been this year in August in Switzerland, but due to COVID-19, this was canceled, and last night started the Asian part of this annual online meeting, and within 2 hours there will be the start of the European part. So if you have time, join us. You can register for free in this very interesting meeting, which is organized together with GLTN from UN Habitat. Commission 8, Spatial Planning and Development. Marie Loesma from the Netherlands. She's a senior project leader with a Dutch cadastre. And the working groups are rural and urban dependency, GIS tools for spatial planning, urban challenges, land policy instruments for spatial development, and specifically for Africa, water governance. Commission 9, Valuation and the Management of Real Estate, run by Ben Elder, who is the Director of Valuation at RICS, the United Kingdom. The working groups are Manual and Due Diligence Protocol for the valuation of unregistered lands and informal property, blockchain, very modern technology, and urban challenges. And finally, last but not least, Commission 10, Construction, Economics and Management. Alan Muse, also from RICS, is the leader here. And the 3 working groups are International Construction Measurement Standards, Digital Construction, and Education and Research. So, sorry for this 10 detailed presentations, but the commissions are very important for FIG, and if you want to understand FIG and how FIG is working, it is good to know what the topic of the commissions are, how they are organized, and what they do. In general, everybody, each individual can be an active part of a commission. At each event, they have open commission meetings. You are invited to be an active part of the working groups. You can contact the working group chairs, you can contact the commission chair leaders, and you are, of course, also very welcome to be part of this in the future. as I already announced, for next year we will elect 10 new so-called chair-elects who will lead these groups. So you are also asked, if you know qualified candidates for this, please make proposals, please talk to us. We would be very happy to see you there in the future in an active way. We also have 3 networks. What is the difference between a network and a commission? A commission in general is working on specific topic. A network is working more on a broader base. The first network is on standards, and standards are important for each of us, and in each branch we need standards. For example, one of our latest success was we could make an ISO standard for our land administration domain model, which was specifically driven by Grit Lemon from the Netherlands. So what do we want to do with these networks? We want to maintain the guides on standardization. We want to work together with other NGOs like ISO on the development of new standards and on the harmonization of the new standards. The chair of this is David Martin. He's originally from Canada. Now he's working in France at the European Synchrotron institution in Grenoble. We have so-called capacity development network, which is led by our Vice President Diane Dumashi. And this capacity development network has 2 branches. The one is for Africa, where we want to develop more capacity. And the other one is for the Asia-Pacific region. This is led by Rob Sareb from Australia. The mission here is to help our colleagues in areas where associations and institutions like universities, state agencies, etc., need kind of help and are not so well developed as in other parts of the world. And finally, we have a young surveyors network because we know that the next generation is very important. The chair of this is Melissa Harrington. She's from New Zealand, but currently working for Trimble in the United States. And the co-chair is Kwabene Asiyama. He is originally from Ghana, but currently working on his PhD thesis in Germany. What are the goals? We want to improve the number of young professionals participating within FIG, and we want to help the young professional in the beginning of their careers with contacts. And we want to increase the cooperation between the commissions and the students and young professional networks. And I think having a young surveyors network is useful and beneficial on a regional level, on a national level, but of course also on an international level. FIG has also a foundation. You see here the board of directors. On the left, John Hohol, who is the president, together with his 5 directors. And the idea of the foundation is to collect money and to use this money for support for especially young people who are coming from not so well-developed countries, who are coming from countries in transition. And the story of the foundation is a story of success. Over the last 15 years, the foundation collected about 400,000 euros and spent half of it for donations, for bourses, and for support for traveling, support for PhD theses, etc., etc. Mainly, but not only for people from Africa, they gave money to people from all over the world. Here you see the current program for scholarships. There are PhD scholarships, there are academic research grants for people who have already a PhD thesis, but there are already also foundation grants for young surveyors, and there is money for publications, for young authors, etc., etc. So those of you who think could benefit from this, they should have a look at our website. We have a specific page for the foundation, and there you can find all the necessary information. Last but not least, the FIG office in Copenhagen. Here you can see Louise Friis Hansen, our director, together with Claudia Stormön and Maria Barkholz. They work in the office, and then they are employed by FIG. As I said already, all the rest, council members, commission chairs, we are all volunteers, and we do this in our free time, in our spare time, for the sake of our federation. This was the first part of my presentation. Maybe you have some questions, and we can deal this question directly.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Stenger, for your very well organized introduction about the FIG and some of the commissions and also the foundation and also networking things. I think it's a very, very good information toward all the people who is attending on the conference on site or even on the website, get to know what FIG can support for the publication, for academic education, and for lots of different kind of projects. I think it's a very good information for all of us. And also people from Taiwan, we would love to be involved in more of the activities inside FIG. So hopefully, like in the near future, we'll have more opportunity to join some of the very good activities inside the FIG. I think Professor Shi and also some other, like the president and vice president of the Chinese Federation of Surveying and Mapping, they're all very active in some of the surveying and even in some Eastern Asia countries. So we would love to join lots of different kind of collaboration if possible in the future. I think I can let, there are 3 panelists arranged in this session also. The first one, the Vice President Wang, I think he has something to talk about, some of the comment or some of the good suggestions following your speech. So let's welcome the Vice President Wang.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Steiger, and good afternoon, everyone in Taipei. May I make a small brief about CFSM, the Chinese Federation of Surveying and Mapping. We are established in 2012. The purpose of the Federation is to integrate social groups relation to mapping, surveying, and geomatics in Taiwan, dedicating to the improvement of academic and technology in mapping, surveying, and geomatics, and motivating development of entire surveying industry. Okay. Okay. Our members, including 13 organizations, including having academic aspects and industry aspect. As you can see in the slide, In these members, some of the organization was founded over decades, which show that we possess solid experience and resource, and providing a platform to exchange experience and resource. Taiwan has always participated in international exchange. In recent years, Taiwan has made great achievement in surveying, mapping, and geospatial information, and has gained rich experience. We have also purchased many high-end surveying equipment, such as LiDAR, digital camera, and MMS. We hope to participate in FIG. We are very eager to enjoy in it and a way to become one of the FIG members, so that we can share and learn from each other's experience and technology with members all over the world. What's the next? I think we can work in at least 4 directions. First, integrating resource. We make a team of Taiwan, no matter it was from academic or private corporation, or even from the government. Only by integrating resource can be ensured that our strengths can be concentrated. My second point of view, participation and connection. How can Taiwan's advantage be seen by the world? We shall participate more in related activities, and we shall also pay more attention and contact. Then, what is the most efficient way to show our participation in connection between the world and us? Marketing and promotion is very important. For example, through social media, let people all over the world check us anytime, anywhere. In addition, the participation in international events, set up booths in exhibition, can also enhance the reputation of the Taiwan team. Besides, we still need to think much more further, which made me first viewpoint, youth training and experience sharing. We are dedicated to train young surveyors by launch education and the train committee of surveying and mapping, which it will strengthen our resource to make sure every young surveyor are well trained and will correspond to the demand of surveying industry. The above is my sharing. I look forward to hear your suggestion. Thank you.
Okay.